Most people think Epstein was just about the island, the black book, and the scandals. But the truth is, he was also knee-deep in Wall Street's dirtiest business. He wasn't just running girls, he was running billions.
While the media focused on one side of his crimes, the other half was hiding in plain sight. Banks, bailouts, and backroom deals. The kind of corruption that wrecked the country and left families in the gutter. That's the part nobody wants to talk about. But we're going to.
Epstein conned his way into a teaching job at a fancy prep school. No degree, no credentials, just smooth talk. Gets caught, gets fired.
And instead of washing out, he lands in Bear Stearns. You don't just walk into a Wall Street firm from nowhere. Somebody wanted him there. He was useful. And pretty soon, he's setting up tax shelters for billionaires. Not bad for a guy who couldn't hold a teaching job. That's how you know the fix was in early.
Then he creates Liquid Funding, LTD, in the Bahamas. Offshore, secretive, shady, 40% owned by Bear Stearns.
And what do they deal in? Subprime mortgage-backed securities. The same toxic junk that blew up in 2008 and tanked the economy. Epstein wasn't just part of the collapse. He was one of the architects. He helped build the bomb that went off in people's faces. And while regular folks lost homes and savings, Epstein kept climbing.
Right as he's running this fund, he's facing charges in Florida for teenage girls. And what does he get? A sweetheart deal. 18 months in jail, out 12 hours a day to work.
Tell me another man in America who gets to leave prison for lunch breaks. You won't find one. That's privilege. That's protection. And it tells you just how valuable he was to people in power.
2007, Bear Stearns executives get indicted for lying to investors. Big scandal.
And who do prosecutors call major investor number one? Jeffrey Epstein. Instead of being in the defendant's chair, he's working with the government, cutting deals, helping them go after other crooks while he walks free. That's how you know the system is rigged, pun intended.
Then comes 2008. Bear Stearns collapses. Federal Reserve steps in, JPMorgan buys him out. And just before the deal goes public, Epstein's Liquid Funding magically wipes its debt clean.
Translation? Epstein got bailed out. Taxpayer money saved his fund while Americans were losing everything. Call it what it is. The government protected a predator's wallet. They didn't save the economy. They saved him.
From 2008 to 2013, JPMorgan is Epstein's banker. They moved millions in cash for him, ignoring every red flag their analysts raised.
And why? Because he wasn't just a client. He was a broker of power. He connected them to Gates, Summers, Brin, Netanyahu. Epstein was their entry ticket to the elite. And the bank made him an exception to the felon policy. They knew who he was. They just didn't care.
Where JPMorgan finally cut him loose, Deutsche Bank swooped in. They had full memos on Epstein's crimes, and they still said, sign him.
Of course they did. They weren't looking at his rap sheet. They were looking at the money flows. Hundreds of millions. To them, Epstein wasn't a liability. He was a cash cow. And they chose profit over principle. Every time.
So here's the picture. Epstein was no outsider. He was plugged in. Offshore accounts, government bailouts, big banks looking the other way. He wasn't just breaking the law. He was part of the lawless system that runs above all of us.
And that's the real crime. You don't get Epstein without banks, politicians, and regulators covering for him. You don't get justice until that whole machine is exposed. And so far, they've kept the machine running.
That's why we do this. Because while the news talks about scandals on the surface, we show you what's underneath. The financial corruption, the bailouts, the dirty deals.
And if you want the truth, stay right here. Chris Dallas, Celebrity Recreations. The channel that doesn't bore you, doesn't sugarcoat, and doesn't back down. This is where the story gets told. Everywhere else, they won't touch it.
Epstein didn't just move money. He moved secrets, shell companies, trusts, blind accounts. You think those were just for him? Nah. He was laundering reputations for the rich and powerful.
And every transaction had a name behind it. Politicians, CEOs, royalty. People who couldn't afford exposure. Epstein was their firewall. You take him down, and half the elite goes with him. That's why they kept him safe, for as long as they could.
Let's talk leverage. Epstein didn't just host parties, he recorded them. Cameras in every room. Every guest became a potential asset or a target.
Blackmail is the oldest currency in power games, and Epstein had vaults of it. That's why the banks didn't flinch. That's why prosecutors hesitated. He wasn't just rich, he was dangerous, and everyone who dealt with him knew it.
Then there's the philanthropy. Epstein sets up foundations, donates to science, education, even ethics programs. Makes himself look like a patron saint.
Smoke and mirrors. Those foundations were funnels. Money in, influence out. He bought credibility the same way he bought silence. And every institution that took his cash, complicit.
After his arrest, the media blitz hits. But it's all about the island, the girls, the celebrities. Nobody asks how he made his billions. Nobody asks who helped.
Because the financial trail leads to boardrooms, not bedrooms. And that's where the real power lives. You want to find the truth? Follow the money. But most reporters don't have the guts or the clearance.
Epstein's gone, but the system isn't. His clients didn't vanish. His accounts didn't close. The machine keeps humming.
And someone else is running it now. Maybe quieter, maybe smarter, but the playbook's the same. Offshore funds, political favors, institutional blind spots. Epstein was just the face. The network is faceless.
So what do? We keep digging. We keep talking. We don't let the story die just because the man did.
Justice isn't about headlines. It's about accountability. And until the system that built Epstein is dismantled, we're not done. Not even close.
If you're still watching, it means one thing. You care. You care about the truth. You care about the system that's been shielding guys like Epstein for decades. And you care about justice that goes beyond the headlines. That's why this channel matters. We tell it like it is, even when the networks weren't.
And if you want more stories they don't want you to hear, then stick around, hit that subscribe button, like the video, drop a comment, and share it. Because this isn't just another channel, it's the only one, giving you the real story with no filters, no spin, and no nonsense.
Chris Dallas and celebrity recreations are doing what the fake news won't. This content isn't scripted by corporations. It's built by truth seekers for truth seekers.
And remember, justice doesn't happen by staying silent. It happens when people like you speak up, stand up, and stay informed. So share the video and help us keep the heat on.
This ain't over, not by a long shot. Riggs and Harry out.